Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Native English Podcast, brought to you by Native English Stories. I'm Sarah.
And I'm John. We are honestly so glad you're here with us today, wherever you might be tuning in from. Maybe you're relaxing at home, on your morning commute, or out for a fresh walk. However you found us, thank you for spending this time improving your English with us.
John, before we dive into today's topic, how are you actually doing? Tell me everything.
Everything? Well, my morning was actually pretty eventful. I tried to cook a new recipe I found online.
Oh, wow. Look at you. That sounds exciting. How did it turn out?
Well, it seemed like a great idea when I was watching the video. The dish looked so easy in the tutorial. Vibrant colors, simple steps, the whole thing.
But there's a but coming, isn't there?
But the final result was, well, let's just say it looked absolutely nothing like the video.
Oh no, the classic cooking tutorial trap. It always looks so effortless on a screen, doesn't it?
Every single time. And here's the funny part. It actually smelled amazing while it was simmering, so I got my hopes up. But when I finally tasted it, I just stood there thinking something seems very wrong here.
That is such a relatable story. And you know what, John? You just used today's two keywords completely naturally without even trying.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Looked and seemed.
Exactly. And that's what today's episode is all about. The subtle difference between looks and seems. They're two small words that trip up so many English learners.
They really do. On the surface, they feel almost identical. A lot of learners use looks for every single situation, even when seems would sound much more natural to a native speaker.
Right. For example, if someone explains a new business plan to you, you might want to say, it looks good, but you haven't actually seen anything with your eyes. You've been listening. So saying it seems like a good idea would actually be the more natural choice there.
And that's exactly the kind of small detail that separates textbook English from really natural, fluent English. So today, we're going to break this down gently with real-life examples and zero pressure.
Perfect. Let's start at the very beginning. John, when you hear the word looks, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Something visual, something my eyes can see directly.
Yes, exactly. Looks is almost always connected to appearance, to what you can observe with your eyes. For example, she looks tired. Why do you say that? Because you can see her face. Maybe her eyes are heavy, maybe she's moving slowly, maybe she's quieter than usual. You are describing what you can physically see.
Another simple example. The sky looks dark. You glance outside, you see heavy clouds, and based on that visual information, you say the sky looks dark. Maybe it's going to rain.
And here's something worth noticing right away. Looks is connected to your eyes. It's about the physical, visible world. The cake looks delicious. You can see it on the table in front of you. It's golden, it's layered, maybe there's frosting on top.
Now I'm hungry.
Same. Okay, so now let's bring in seems. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Seems is different because it goes beyond what you can see. It's more about your impression, your gut feeling, your interpretation of a situation.
Great way to put it. For example, she seems upset. Now, maybe she hasn't said anything. Maybe her face is perfectly calm, but her energy feels off. She's replying in short sentences. She's not making eye contact. You're not seeing upset, you're feeling it.
And that's the key difference. Looks is about your eyes. Seems is about your whole sense of a situation, your intuition, your reading of the room, the overall vibe you're picking up.
Wow, yes. Reading the room is such a good way to connect this to real life, because that's exactly what seems helps you do. You're not just describing what you see, you're describing what you understand.
Let's compare the two directly. She looks angry. What does that tell you?
That there are visible signs. Maybe her face is red, her eyebrows are pulled down, her jaw is tight. You can see it clearly.
Now, she seems angry. What's different?
Now, maybe you're not completely sure. Maybe she's speaking in a very cold tone. Maybe she hasn't smiled once all morning. You're piecing together clues and coming to a conclusion. And crucially, you might be wrong. Seems carries that gentle uncertainty.
That uncertainty is actually really important in communication. It makes you sound thoughtful rather than too direct. It gives the other person some space.
Exactly. Imagine someone comes into the office and they're very quiet. You could say, "You look tired," which is direct and focuses on their face. Or you could say, "You seem tired," which is softer and more about their overall energy. The second one often feels kinder.
I actually use that instinctually with close friends. If someone seems off, but I'm not sure why, I always say, "You seem a bit quiet today," rather than "You look tired." It feels more considerate.
Yes, and that's a really advanced communication skill, honestly. Choosing seems over looks in emotional situations shows empathy. It says, "I'm noticing something, but I'm not making a harsh judgment."
Now, let's talk about structure because both words follow similar patterns, and that helps learners use them correctly.
Right. Both looks and seems are usually followed by an adjective. She looks happy. He seems busy. The food looks amazing. The plan seems complicated. Simple structure. Adjective follows the verb.
We also have two very common expressions that learners need to know: looks like and seems like. These are everywhere in everyday English.
Let's start with looks like. This one is based on visual evidence. It looks like it's going to rain. Why? Because you can see dark clouds gathering outside. It looks like he didn't sleep. Why? Because his eyes are red and he's been yawning since he walked in. So looks like means you have something concrete in front of you, something visible that is leading you to your conclusion.
Now, seems like is slightly different. It seems like he didn't sleep. Maybe you haven't seen his face at all. Maybe he's just responding to messages very slowly and making small errors he wouldn't usually make. Your conclusion comes from behavior, from patterns, not from a direct visual.
Here's a really current example. Imagine you're in a group chat and a friend who's usually very active and funny has gone completely silent for 2 days. You message another friend and say, "It seems like something's going on with Oliver."
Perfect. You haven't seen Oliver, you haven't spoken to him, but based on the change in his behavior, you have an impression. That's seems like doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
Wow, that's such a natural example, and it's the kind of thing people say all the time in real conversations. Okay, let's do a quick practice round. I'll describe a situation, and you tell me looks or seems.
Ready.
You're at a cafe, and your friend walks in. Her hair's styled, her outfit is really put together, and she's smiling.
She looks great. Definitely looks because I can see her.
Perfect. Now, same friend, she sits down, orders her usual coffee, but she keeps checking her phone and giving very short answers.
She seems distracted, or maybe she seems stressed, because it's not about how she looks physically, it's about the energy she's giving off.
Exactly right. See how naturally that works once you understand the difference? Let's keep going.
You're watching a cooking competition on TV, one of those popular streaming shows, and a contestant presents their dish. It's beautifully plated, gorgeous colors, perfect presentation.
That dish looks incredible. Visual, direct, eyes only.
Now, the judges taste it and they go quiet. Very serious faces. Long pause.
It seems like something isn't right because you're reading the atmosphere, the behavior, the vibe in the room.
Yes, that exact moment in every cooking show ever. That dramatic silence.
Right? And both words used perfectly in one situation. That's how fluid real English is.
Now, let's talk about emotions specifically, because this is where learners make the most mistakes.
Yes, emotions almost always belong to the world of seems. You seem nervous, you seem excited, you seem a little overwhelmed. These aren't things you can fully see on someone's face, they're things you sense from the whole picture.
Whereas physical states often go with looks. You look pale, you look exhausted, you look really well, actually. These are direct observations about someone's appearance.
Though here's where it gets interesting. Some words can go with both, but the meaning shifts. You look tired focuses on the physical signs, the dark circles, the heavy eyes. You seem tired is gentler and more about overall energy and mood. Both correct, different feeling.
And in practice, choosing seems in emotional moments makes you sound more considerate, more emotionally intelligent. It's a small word that does a big job.
Now, let's bring this into work life because that's where a lot of learners feel pressure to get their English right.
Definitely. Meetings, presentations, emails, these moments matter, and the right word can make a real difference.
Imagine you're in a team meeting and a colleague presents a new project idea. They've explained everything clearly and you want to give feedback. You could say, "It looks good," but since you've been listening and thinking, not looking at anything specific, it sounds more natural to say, "It seems like a solid plan," or "This seems like a really good direction."
And in emails too, if a client sends you a proposal and you want to respond positively, you write, "This seems like a great fit for what we discussed," not "It looks like a great fit," because you've been reading, not seeing.
Wow, that's such a practical distinction. It seems versus it looks in professional writing can genuinely change how polished you sound.
Now, here's a slightly more advanced word that connects to this topic, appears. It's very similar to seems, but more formal.
Yes, he appears confident. The company appears to be growing. You'll hear appears in news reports, formal speeches, academic writing. It carries the same meaning as seems, but with a more professional tone.
So if you're chatting with a friend, use seems. If you're writing a report or presenting in a formal setting, appears is a great alternative that sounds polished.
Let's compare all three quickly. She looks confident means you can see it in her posture, her eye contact, her expression. She seems confident means you get that impression from how she speaks, how she carries herself overall. She appears confident is the same as seems, but sounds more formal and neutral.
Same idea, 3 different registers. That's really useful to know.
Let's do one more role play. I'll set the scene and we'll have a natural conversation using both words.
Love it. Let's go. Okay, we're at a friend's dinner party. A mutual friend named Marcus has just arrived.
Oh, Marcus just walked in. He looks really good. New haircut?
Haha, I think so. But, he seems a little quieter than usual. Did something happen?
I'm not sure. It seems like maybe he had a long week. We should check in with him later.
Good idea. Oh, and by the way, this food looks absolutely amazing. Did she cook all of this herself?
Apparently, and it seems like she's been planning this for weeks. Look at the table setting. Wow, everything looks so elegant. She has such a good eye for detail.
She really does, and everyone seems to be having a great time already.
Perfect. Both words completely natural, used correctly, no effort at all. That's the goal.
Now, let's cover one final common mistake before we wrap up. Many learners use "it looks like" even when they haven't seen anything. For example, your coworker tells you that James didn't come in today, and you reply, "It looks like he's sick," but you haven't seen James. You have no visual information at all.
Right. The natural and accurate thing to say there is "it seems like he's sick," because your conclusion is based on information you heard, not something you observed directly.
That one small correction instantly makes your English sound more native.
And here's your practice challenge for the week. As you go through your day, pay attention to what you're actually observing versus what you're sensing or interpreting. When you can see it clearly, use looks. When it's more of an impression or a feeling, use seems.
Talk to yourself. While you're walking to work, describe what you see. That building looks old. Then describe what you feel about a situation. This neighborhood seems really lively lately. Small practice, big results.
And remember that fluency isn't about perfect grammar. It's about choosing words that match reality. When you use looks and seems correctly, your English feels alive. It feels human.
Because you're not just speaking, you're showing how you observe the world. And that's honestly one of the most beautiful things about language.
Beautifully said, John. Okay, everyone, here is your one big takeaway for today. Next time something literally catches your eye, say, "It looks." Next time you get a specific vibe or a feeling about a person or a situation, say, "It seems." Just start right there. Keep it simple, natural, and real.
And if today's episode helped you see the difference clearly, or maybe even helped you seem more confident about using them, please like this episode and subscribe to the Native English podcast, brought to you by Native English Stories.
Definitely. And share it with that one friend who says it looks good for absolutely everything. We all know someone like that.
We really do. Also, don't forget to check out the pinned comment below. We've posted a quick little looks versus seems challenge there for you to try out. We can't wait to see your answers.
We'll see you in the next episode. Keep learning, keep noticing those small details, and keep speaking with confidence.
Bye, everyone. You're honestly doing much better than you think.
Bye-bye.